Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer the question? Would you
because
veto?
under Roe v. Wade,
Answer the question. Would you veto?
You could do.
That was just a few seconds from last night's fiery debate. Will there be another one? And will a certain cat lady be voting for Trump or Harris?
Plus, how new housing is coming with a new cost. What Milton Hall is charging students.
And on the 23rd anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, we show you the scenes from remembrance events around the 315. News Live at 6 starts right now.
This is Citrus TV News Live at 6, your campus news leader.
We're now just 55 days from Election Day. Welcome into News Live at 6. I'm Dillon, Brendle.
And I'm Cora Mayor Costa. Last night, the candidates for president laid out their visions for the country after roughly an hour and 45-minute debate.
Citrus TV political anchor Luke Radel is here in studio with us to break down the biggest moments that everybody is talking about today. Luke, that was a huge night for both candidates.
That's right, Dillon. I still can't get over the fact that before last night, these two people had never met before. That all changed last night as Syracuse native David Muir kicked off the must-watch debate on ABC News.
So let's now welcome the candidates to the stage. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
An historic moment in Philadelphia. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris meet.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Have fun.
Thank you.
For maybe their first and only debate.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that.
The strategy from the VP to trigger Trump.
Wait a minute, I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
And it worked. Harris getting particularly personal on his rally crowds.
And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
At the very end of the debate, in his closing statement, Trump tried to recover by tying Harris to her boss, Joe Biden.
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border.
Now, Dillon and Cora, after the debate, a spokesperson for the Harris campaign said, quote, "That was fun. Let's do it again in October." But Trump and his team have not yet committed to doing another debate next month. They complained last night about the moderators for fact-checking Trump when he said things that weren't true. Dillon?
Luke, it almost feels like the biggest news of the night happened shortly after the debate when Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. It took over my social media timeline at least. What did she have to say, and what impact could this have?
Yeah, that's right, Dillon. Swift says that she will be voting for Harris and Walz in the 2024 election because she believes that Harris will lead the country with, quote, calm and not chaos. She also signed off on the post, which, by the way, has nearly 10 million likes on Instagram, quote, "Taylor Swift, childless cat lady," a clear reference to controversial comments made by Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance. It'll be interesting to see, though, what kind of impact this has on young voters. Another thing she did was include a link to help them register to vote for this November. Guys.
Luke, thank you. It was a really nice day today. I know you and I were both involved in Citrus TV Wednesday News last semester, and it felt like every week just rain.
Yes, no, it did. And of course, on the nicest day outside, our Spencer Congel is inside. So Spencer, can you talk more about how this nice weather is going?
Dillon, I was right there on Wednesday News with you, and you're absolutely right. It feels like every Wednesday it was raining or doing something crazy bad, but this year so far, we've had some beautiful days in Syracuse. Right now, sunny and 75, feels like 80 degrees out there with that humidity. As we look around central New York, it's pretty much sunny everywhere. We're seeing these 75 to 72-ish degree temperatures, getting a little bit lower as we go south, a little bit warmer as we move into the west, but pretty nice temperatures throughout central New York. Of course, as we move into later tonight, a lot of people have been saying they're getting pretty chilly as they're on their way home or getting ready for the day in the morning. And we are going to see temperatures down into the 60 degrees, a low of 58 early tomorrow morning. So it's kind of interesting. We're seeing these fall-like, kind of chilly, you'll need a sweater temperatures in the evening and morning. And then as we get through the day, we're getting hotter. Summer is still in full effect with these 80-degree temperatures that we're seeing. And I'll have more about what to expect for the rest of September and how our weather's looking later. But for now, Cora, back to you.
Spencer, thank you.
Well, dining halls on campus are launching new sustainability initiatives. The addition of a dining center in what is now Orange Hall, the university's newest dorm, has worked to reduce single-use plastics and food waste. SU Dining is implementing the university's sustainable pledge by introducing compostable silverware, buffet-style dairy stations, and a new daily menu to cut down on food waste.
With the new year, sophomores have many housing options, including the new Milton Hall. Yet some aren't as lucky. Our Dillon Augustine joins us in studio. Dillon, what differences are you noticing in the new housing?
Hey Dylan, well for starters, the price and amenities offered. I spoke to a number of students in different housing locations to see how they've been adjusting into the new year. The school year is now in swing. As the fall semester continues on, for many sophomore upperclassmen, a frequent question arises. Where are you living this year?
So we decided, 7.4 million. That was probably the way to go. On top of that, it's probably one of the nicest, if not the nicest, halls that are available now.
Dillon Hall, formerly known as the Marshall, is now the newest option for sophomores to live in, offering amenities of a full furnished apartment with state-of-the-art kitchen, bathroom, views of campus, and a gym. However, it comes with a price.
So I believe it's $8K a semester per each, so $32K total per year. And then, that's obviously split between the two of us.
According to Syracuse's housing website, the base cost per semester in Milton Hall is $8,000, a whopping $3,000 more than a traditional dorm. To compensate, some students are buying groceries instead of SU's meal plan system, but buying groceries can also come at a hefty price, including for students living on South Campus.
It's a little inconvenient, especially because if you don't have a great meal plan or a meal plan at all, you got to come back here, and sometimes the schedule doesn't always allow for that, so sometimes I get a little hungry when I'm on campus.
The difference in housing and accommodations is a major criticism of the university, as some students placed on South Campus feel the lottery system is unfair.
The reason I'm on South is because I had a Thursday pick day, so one of the last times, and the Marshall was double the price of South, so I ended up here.
Then there are those placed in the middle of it like Dillon Cervone, living in Watson Hall, near the center of campus.
It's cool, I like it. A lot of my friends are here. It's got a great location on campus. I wish, like other sophomore housing, we had a kitchen or something.
The university looks to continue its development of more campus sophomore living by demolishing and renovating both Marion and Kimmel halls in the nearby future, allowing more students to live on campus with better amenities and not having to commute. Dillon Augustine, CitrusTV News.
Dillon, thanks for your coverage. To new details now, a man who fired shots at a gas station in Manlius is now facing 4 felony and 4 misdemeanor counts. According to SPD, Richard Bradley of East Syracuse fired 4 rounds into the back of his SUV with his AR-15 Monday evening. A malfunction in his gun prevented any more shots from firing, and a bystander eventually overpowered him. Police say nobody was injured, and Bradley was, quote, impaired on drugs during the altercation.
After the Park Street Bridge was struck 3 times in a day earlier this week, Syracuse's City Hall has placed the blame on the State Department of Transportation. City spokespeople claim the closure of the I-81 ramp towards Onondaga Lake Parkway has caused trucks that are too tall to take a new route. Greg Lowe, the chief policy officer for Syracuse, says, quote, the increase in truck strikes at the Park Street Bridge in the city of Syracuse corresponds with New York State Department of Transportation's closure of the 81 off-ramp access to Onondaga Lake Parkway. The department's closure is resulting in trucks rerouting to the Park Street Bridge. We're requesting department to reconsider the 81 closure. Any NYDOT spokesperson said they plan to continue in coordinating with Syracuse towards the most effective path forward.
There's more dangers for trucks than just hitting local bridges. A fire truck has flipped over in Skaneateles this morning. Officials say the emergency vehicle tipped over Old Seneca Turnpike during rush hour when it blew a tire and went into a ditch. First responders say the driver is not hurt and all roads relating to the incident have been reopened.
Back in Syracuse, a Northside house fire is proving why you may want to stay on top of replacing your batteries in smoke detectors. The Syracuse Fire Department is crediting 2 working fire alarms for alerting the residents to evacuate. Officials arrived just after it started at 3:30 this morning and were able to extinguish the flames. No injuries from the incident have been reported.
My fellow Americans, September 11th, 2001, tested our strength, our resolve, and our courage. The billowing smoke and ash that darkened the clear blue sky that's
Sorry about those technical issues there. President Biden was in New York City this morning honoring the lives lost in the September 11th attacks from 23 years ago. Moments of silence were held at the times when the planes crashed and when the towers fell. Some familiar faces paying their respects included presidential candidates Donald Trump and Kamala Harris and New York Governor Kathy Hochul. They joined families of the victims of the tragic day.
The message of unity can be felt across the state. Here in central New York, services were held throughout the day. Our Maura Vaughn attended multiple events and joins us now from DeWitt. Now, she is going to unpack what today has been like.
All across central New York today, citizens have gathered to remember the 2,799 lives lost and to honor the first responders of 9/11. Earlier this morning, Mayor Ben Walsh and the Syracuse Fire Department held their annual remembrance ceremony. The morning started off with 17 minutes of silence, signifying the time in between the first plane and second plane hitting the World Trade Center.
Remain radio silent for 17 minutes to honor their ultimate sacrifice. We will never forget.
This morning, Syracuse citizens and first responders came together to remember the lives lost and honor those who risked their lives on the terrorist attacks on 9/11.
I couldn't describe it. Pictures couldn't describe just the amount of debris that was there.
Will Bettino remembers what it was like to be a paramedic on Ground Zero like it was yesterday.
It still feels fresh in my mind. It's kind of a difficult day because I've lost a few people that I've known since then due to illnesses from being down there for so long at Ground Zero.
Knowing that there was first responders in there, police, firefighters, EMTs, running into that emergency while everyone was trying to run out.
Days after the attack, the New York City Fire Department announced that more than 360 firefighters and EMTs lost their lives from 9/11 illnesses, a risk, Matt Craner says, first responders take to save others.
You know that their training kicked in, and we train to respond to emergencies, no matter how big or small, something like that. Your training kicks in and kind of takes over, and you do what you know you have to do.
Now, according to Syracuse University website, 30 Syracuse alum lost their lives during the 9/11 attacks 23 years ago today. While they may no longer be with us, their memories are here with us forever. Reporting in DeWitt for CitrusTV News, Maura Vaughn.
Maura, thank you. 23 years later, it may be surprising to learn that the 5 men charged with orchestrating the attacks on September 11th have not been convicted. After the attacks, the men were captured in Pakistan, and President Bush rolled out a plan to try them at Guantanamo Bay, in a separate process to the normal criminal justice system. But they've been at Guantanamo since 2006. A major stalling point in the process has been accusations of torture revealed by a Senate investigation years ago. The military commissioner's process at Guantanamo Bay has also been at the center of constant litigation since 2006. An end looked in sight earlier this year when a plea deal was accepted by 3 of the men, but prosecutors pulled the deal after intense public backlash. The families of 9/11 victims have been caught in the middle, with some pushing for convictions as the only form of justice, while others, including the group September 11th Families for Peaceful Tomorrows, are advocating for plea deals in order to have finality. News Live at 6 continues after this quick break.
Welcome to my house. Lately, not my happy place. Everybody's pretty tired of each other. The parents were not themselves. My little brothers were morphing into small creatures. The walls were closing in. Clearly a case of too much family, too close, 24/7. And there's a lot of that going around right now. If this sounds like your house, try going someplace new. yourlifeyourvoice.org. You'll find lots of ideas to help you handle the family stresses of being confined to close quarters. yourlifeyourvoice.org. It might not get you out of the house, but it could help you find a little more breathing room.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you see news happening on campus, in Syracuse, or across the nation, call the CitrusTV newsroom, 315-443-1177, or tweet at CitrusTV News, your campus news leader.
Welcome back to Citrus TV News Live at 6. A local man's story is giving hope to those with AFib in our region. Ken Donnelly of East Syracuse was one of the first patients to receive a pulse field ablation at St. Joe's Hospital. The special catheter provides electrical pulses to the heart to normalize heartbeat.
St. Joseph's is the only medical center in the area offering the new treatment. The recovery time required from the procedures is around 2 days. Donnelly says he was back on the golf course on his 3rd day after the operation.
That's great for him. The city of Syracuse is implementing a new cull plan to address the overpopulation of deer in residential neighborhoods. Syracuse Chief Police Officer Greg Lowe says the deer will be trapped in netting, as seen on your screen, then the animals will be euthanized. The intention is to target hotspots where deer traffic incidents are common.
A Poughkeepsie teen has been arrested after making threats against a local high school student. Police received an anonymous tip that a student from Our Lady of Lourdes High School was threatening to harm a classmate after school with a gun. State troopers determined that 19-year-old Jacob Leo was behind the threats. The school says Leo was never a student. He was then arrested for his terroristic threats. Leo is now in custody and will appear in court later this month.
To the latest on the West Coast, 3 major wildfires are taking over the outskirts of Los Angeles. 103,000 acres have burned in the last 3 days, with less than 20% of the fire contained.
There are mandatory evacuations called for the San Bernardino, Trabuco, and Mount Baldy regions. A 34-year-old has been detained after police accused him of starting the San Bernardino fire. His bail is set at $80,000. There are no reports of damage on any buildings yet, but strong winds are expected throughout the week.
Coming up on News Live at 6, I'll have your full 5-day forecast. And spoiler alert, I'm not wearing these sunglasses for nothing. Stay with us.
Come on, it's not that hard.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
From the Citrus TV Weather Center, this is SU's most accurate weather forecast.
Welcome back to News Live at 6. As you can see behind me here, the sunglasses are well needed. The next 5 days are going to be sunny, 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 and more sunny. Now, I don't think in the last few months that I've been doing the weather here, I've ever seen a forecast quite as nice as this one. We got sun every day. We've got, pretty nice 80-degree temperatures. If you're asking me, I'd prefer a little bit cooler, but I'm not going to complain. I mean, you don't get this kind of weather super often in Syracuse, so I'll take it. You're going to want to make sure you have your sunglasses. Now, speaking of sun, I've got a little look at how much sun we really can expect in the month of September because, as you may know, summer is not yet over. Summer ends on September 22nd, and that's when we start to get into those cooler fall temperatures. We start to see the leaves change to our beautiful central New York, oranges and yellows and reds. But until then, in September, we have an average of 17 sunny days. I think this year we'll have even more. And October, as you can see, we start to go down a little bit with those sunny days. So enjoy it while it lasts because this nice weather isn't sticking around forever. But you can't really hate the fall that much either. I think it's all beautiful here in the great area of central New York. That's all I've got for now. Speaking of cooling down, Dillon, what's going on?
Yeah, Spencer, those are forecast numbers I like to see. Some other numbers I like to see: inflation cooling nationwide. Year over year, prices have reached a 3-year low, according to the Federal Reserve. That clears the way to interest rate cuts as soon as next week.
Consumer prices rose by 2.5% last month, down by nearly a half at the start of the summer. Hourly earnings are trudging a little bit behind, up by a little more than 1% from last year.
But the NFL season is back and Aaron Rodgers is back. We'll be talking about everything that happened with the Jets and the 49ers after the break.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Hi, my name is Sadie Miller.
My name is Luke Brady. I go by St. Luke.
So this one I started with this guitar lick.
And now, your Citrus TV Sports Report.
Aaron Rodgers is back for the Jets, and yes, he completed an entire game this time, but his performance wasn't as expected. Welcome to sports. I'm Sean Dempsey. The Jets went on the road and lost to the 49ers 32-19 on Monday night. Aaron Rodgers, who was hurt in Week 1 last season, finished his first game in over a year. The veteran threw for only 167 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Rodgers' favorite target, Garrett Wilson, actually had a good game. Wilson finished with 11 targets, 6 catches for 60 yards. However, Rodgers did have to go up against one of the toughest defenses in the NFL. Next week, the star quarterback will have an easier matchup on the road against the Titans. But the Giants also had a similar outcome to the Jets last weekend. New York lost to Minnesota in MetLife Stadium 28-6. The problem, well, of course, it was New York quarterback Daniel Jones. Jones threw for just under 190 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, one of those being a pick six. Now, speaking of pick sixes, since signing his $160 million contract, Jones has thrown more pick sixes than touchdowns to his own teammates. How about that? On a brighter note, though, first-round draft pick Malik Neighbors might live up to the hype this season if his quarterback can get the ball to him. Neighbors finished the game with 5 receptions for just over 60 receiving yards in his NFL debut. The G-men aim to turn things around next week when they go on the road to take on the Commanders. Kickoff is at 1 for that one. And tonight, the Yankees continue their series against the Royals at 7 o'clock. New York hopes to bounce back from a 5-0 loss last night to Kansas City. A big reason the Royals won was Salvador Perez. He finished the game with 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Yankee star hitters Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Giancarlo Stanton did the exact opposite. They couldn't get on base. Yanks fans hope that changes tonight. First pitch is set for just after 7. And Syracuse football is 2-0, and a big reason for that is Ohio State transfer Kyle McCord. So far this season, McCord has tallied 8 touchdowns and 735 passing yards. McCord is currently on pace to break the Syracuse single-season passing yards record. That was set by Ryan Nassib in 2012 with just over 3,700 passing yards. Guys.
Thank you, Sean. Looking forward to the rest of the football season. But when we come back from the break, one last look at your weather.
Yo, camping buddy. Okay, you guys ready?
Dude, I thought you were driving.
I thought you were driving.
Oh, I never said I was driving.
I definitely can't drive.
Okay.
If you're high, just don't drive. It's illegal everywhere. If you feel different, you drive different.
As you wake up tomorrow morning, things are going to be just as beautiful as they were this morning. We're going to start out with those cooler fall temperatures and then get a bit warmer throughout the day where you're going to need those sunglasses and some shorts. Now that's all I've got for weather today. Dillon and Cora, back to you.
Thanks, Spencer. That's all we have for Citrus TV News live at 6 this Wednesday.
Before we end, we take a look back at the DeWitt ceremony as we hold a moment of silence for those killed on September 11th, 2001. For the entire Citrus News team, I'm Cora Costa.
And I'm Dillon Brendle. Have a great night, Syracuse.